All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I have for you guys today, Hadi Choopan has officially landed in the States for the 2021 Mr. Olympia, according to his coach, Hany Rambod. He posted this picture with Hadi, and I believe Hadi will be staying with him. He says, Hadi Choopan has landed in the USA to prepare for the 2021 Mr. Olympia. Thank you to our amazing team, Hadi Parsifar, Parsifar Mahdi, and AD Supplements in the UAE. Without them, this wouldn't be possible. I couldn't have asked for a better team. Now let the games begin at Evogen Nutrition. So this is pretty good news. This is good to see. Because last year, and in years past, Hadi has had this issue where it comes down to the last minute, especially with the virus and stuff and issues with traveling. Comes down to the last minute, doesn't know if he's going to be able to make it or not, visa issues, getting over here at the last minute. The stress of that could certainly impact how Hadi looks on stage at the Olympia, especially from a conditioning standpoint, which is one of the things that is Hadi's strongest attribute. One of the things he's known for is good conditioning. Now, I do believe last year he had a little bit of extra issues getting over here, again, with the virus. And I think he looked a little bit off compared to how he looked in 2019 at the Olympia. Now, I still think his conditioning was very good in 2020, but I think 2019, it was better. 2020, a little bit off from that 2019 shape. But this year, the fact that he's over here so early, with almost 6 weeks to prepare here in the States to improve upon last year as well, I think is tremendous and is going to be tremendous for his placing at this year's Olympia. So last year, obviously, he took fourth behind Phil Heath, Brandon Curry, and Big Ramy. Now, the year before that, Hadi took third behind Brandon and Bonac. So he beat Bonac this time, so he moved up already in that regard. And the man standing in his way in third place last year was Phil Heath, who I don't believe is going to be at this year's Mr. Olympia. Now, if Phil's not there, I think that safely puts Hadi Choopan in the top three. Now, if he's able to improve even more on how he looked last year, could he beat Brandon? Could he beat Ramy? Could he crack the top two? I think he could. All due respect to Brandon, all due respect to Ramy, I think if Hadi Choopan comes in at his all-time best, with the best conditioning we've ever seen from Hadi, I think Hadi could beat both of those guys. And with the visa issue taken out of the equation, with the wild card of whether or not he's going to be able to get here in time taken out of the equation, I think things are looking very good for Hadi, and maybe this will be the best year we've ever seen from Hadi Choopan. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Now, next up in the news, I know we've talked about Sergio in a couple of videos recently, but this update that he posted to his Instagram story, not directly to his Instagram feed yesterday, was really the most revealing physique update that we've seen of Sergio thus far during his prep for the Arnold, or for his prep when he was still planning on doing the Chicago Pro for that matter. Sergio, he's not a big believer in physique updates. He's not a big fan of physique updates. So this is really one of the most revealing ones that we've seen. And look, I've told you my opinion on Sergio before. I've already said that I think the most exciting outcome at the Arnold Classic would be for Sergio to win that show. The fact that his dad, one of the few men to ever beat Arnold on the Olympia stage, the fact that he had to overcome the personal things that he did that prevented him from getting to the Chicago Pro and competing and qualifying for the Olympia, that's what kept him out of the Olympia. If he wins the Arnold, he would go to the Olympia. And I think if any show would be the coolest show for Sergio to win, it would be Arnold's. And like I said, I think a lot of people are actually looking straight past Sergio and looking at some of the bigger names in this lineup. Like Nick Walker has become one of the biggest names in bodybuilding, which I love to see because a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, nobody really knew who he was. You've got Bonac in there, the returning defending champion. You've got Rolly Winkler in there. You've got Ian Valliere. You've got Steve Kukla. There's a lot of big names in here. Forgive me if I left anybody off. I think a lot of people are looking straight past Sergio, and I got to be honest with you guys. Sergio, again, based on this physique update as well, is one of my potential picks to win this thing. He's one of the top guys, in my opinion. I think he's getting overlooked. I think people are talking a lot about these other guys, maybe rightfully so. Some of those guys are really good. But I would just caution you guys not to just look past Sergio when it comes to this Arnold Classic. I think he is one of the top guys in this conversation. Don't be surprised if you see him in the top three. Don't be surprised. Now, next up in the news, Terrence Ruffin posting a physique update today at, again, 6 weeks out from the Olympia, less than 4 weeks out from the Arnold. So I had a lot of people send me this update and say they thought that Terrence doesn't look ready, actually. Because of all the updates that Chris has been posting lately, a lot of people are comparing Chris and Terrence's updates. Actually, let's put some of those updates side by side. They were comparing those updates and saying, look at how good Chris looks, and look at how Terrence looks. Chris looks ahead of Terrence, and Terrence has to be ready sooner than Chris does, because Chris isn't doing the Arnold Classic, if you guys didn't know. Terrence is. So Terrence is technically 4 weeks out from a show, while Chris is technically 6. Even though they're both doing the Olympia, he's competing sooner. And again, Terrence was second to Chris last year at the Olympia, so he's the guy that a lot of people are comparing Chris to. Now, I'll be honest here, as big of a fan as I am of Rough Diesel, I agree with these comparisons. I think Chris does look sharper if you take his most recent front-facing physique update. He looks sharper than Terrence to me. And granted, Chris has a little bit better goon light, and he's a little bit more experienced dancing in the goon light. Comment hashtag goon light down below. But that being said, the gym that Terrence is taking this picture at, MI40 Gym, Ben Pakulski's gym, I believe, they're also known for their goon light. You see all kinds of bodybuilders do their posing videos. Charles Griffin and Hunter Henderson, they did their posing videos down there before Tampa. Patrick Moore did a posing video down there. Derek Lunsford. It's a gym known for its lighting. So that being said, they both had good lighting, but Chris is a little bit more experienced. Now, with that being said, Terrence is still my favorite to win the Arnold Classic. I think comparing Terrence and Chris is apples and oranges. Two very different physiques, two very different strengths, two very different weaknesses. Terrence Ruffin, I've said this before, I think he's the best poser in the IFBB. I think he's going to be able to put it together for the Arnold Classic specifically, which, again, is earlier than the Olympia, as you guys know. Terrence knows what he's doing is the bottom line, and I'm not counting him out at all. But right now, I would agree. I think Chris looks a little bit sharper. A lot sharper. But hey, Chris is the champ after all. Now, next up in the news, we have another physique update from Rafael Brandao, the pride of Brazil, whom a lot of people are excited to see make his grand return to the pro stage in Romania, after taking essentially the majority of 2021 off. So we've got another physique update from Rafael posted to his story, again, not posted to his feed. And I gotta be honest, he is one of my favorite men's open bodybuilders. I think he's got a very aesthetic physique for a men's open guy. He reminds me a little bit of Patrick Moore in that regard. He's got more lines to his physique, more flow to his physique. And I really want to see him come back and do very well in Romania, hopefully picking up the qualification for next year's Mr. Olympia, because I do think he's very talented. I do think genetically his structure is just very good. It's very pleasing to look at. And that's kind of rare in men's open bodybuilding in the IFBB. So that is the latest from Rafael Brandao. And the final story that we have for you guys today, a physique update from none other than Hafthor Bjornsson, just weeks away from his boxing match, not with Eddie Hall, but in fact actually with Devin Larratt, the acclaimed arm wrestler. So he's weeks away from that, but he says in the caption of this physique update, haven't felt this light and skinny in years, and it feels good, showing off an incredibly ripped and lean version of Hafthor Bjornsson comparatively to what we've seen from him when he was competing in the Deadlift World Championships, competing in World's Strongest Man. He was weighing in the mid-450s. He's like 455 getting ready for that deadlift. We know that as of months ago, he had already lost over 100 pounds, and it looks like he might be getting close to losing 150. He looks extremely lean, and I think it's a good thing. I think it's a healthy thing. And I know he said there's a potential for him to come back to strongman after this whole boxing thing is done. And honestly, I think I'd rather see him stay downsized, stay leaner, and stay healthier and have a little bit more longevity, not necessarily as a strongman, but longevity just in life, just live longer. I think he could probably make a career for himself without having to get back up to those crazy high weights. I just really don't think he needs to do it. I know a lot of people want to see him compete in the World's Strongest Man again just for their own entertainment, but I think honestly, he doesn't need to. I think he's making big enough moves and doing big enough things that his exit strategy could play out now. These boxing matches, the money that he's making from the promotion behind all this, it should be more than enough to get out of strongman and make a healthy exit at this new downsized version, because I don't want to see him go from losing all this weight to then having to gain like 100 pounds to be competitive again. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. That's going to wrap it up for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give it a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. It helps out the channel a lot. It helps us get into the algorithm. It's free. It's easy. So just click that like button. If you like having these videos to watch every day, just like them. You don't even have to comment. Just leave a like. And as always, I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power signing out.